Hello guys, welcome back to Drop Ball. We've just finished the first international break of the season, of course. England, with their two qualifying games against Bulgaria and Kosovo, respectively. We're also going to be discussing the rest of the international action. So we'll start with England. Pretty routine victory against Bulgaria.
Yeah.
And last night, let's talk about the 8-goal thriller they had against Kosovo.
Well,
5-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5-3. Well, I don't think many of us really expected Kosovo to get 3 goals, did they?
No, it was a big shock. When obviously Kosovo went 1-0 up very early on, and I saw the goals. It was pretty much a poor back pass, really. Did you see the first Kosovo goal?
Yeah.
Ross Barkley with it. I'd say it was more Barkley's fault because he passed it back to, I think it was Keane.
Yeah.
And then Keane lost the ball, but I think it was Barkley's. He shouldn't have passed it back to him in that situation.
Maybe, but Keane's got to be doing better there, I think. That it's not the worst situation he's been put in. He can deal with that situation, but he's still fluffed his lines. Yeah, Barkley maybe shouldn't have done that, but Keane should have just been better there. Really, he should have. If he really felt in danger, he should have just got rid of it. But
if in doubt, get it out.
Yeah, no,
I'd say they're both. Yeah, I'd say they're both at fault really. There, Barkley was a poor pass from him anyway. But Kosovo took their chance, 1-0 up early on, and then England kind of got into their stride, didn't they? They they went 4-1 up before half time.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was.
So we'll discuss the goals quickly. So Sterling with a header.
I think it might have been 5-1 up.
5-1 up at half time. It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I remember Kosovo coming back after that, but
yeah. So obviously Sterling with his goal. Do you think Raheem Sterling in particular? I think he played really well last night. Would you agree with that? Or
I think he sort of run the show up front. Really, he just wasn't a player they could handle. Very quick, very nippy, very skillful, and I think as well as that, it was his passing ability and his vision.
Yeah.
Wasn't really that greedy and made sure he gave his teammates the chances as well, which is something really, really good. And he's added that to his game in the last, I would say maybe last couple of months really, and he's put that into England as well, because last World Cup sort of wasn't always going for him, was it?
No.
But I know this is early days, it's qualifiers, but if he can keep this up for England, then we've got a real good attack on our hands with him, Kane, and even young Sancho. Yeah.
Sancho, you mentioned, he scored twice last night, didn't he?
Yeah.
Both well taken goals. Both sort of close range, but he did well. I think Sancho, he deserved his place to start, definitely.
Yeah, I think it's positioning really. Like people say they're easy goals, and they are in some ways. But both positioning, like if you're able to get into that position where you're in so much space, then it means you've got a really good attacking awareness, and especially for the second goal, very easy. In that situation, especially for a young kid to just be offside very slightly, but he managed to stay perfectly in line with Sterling before the ball came to him.
Yeah.
So that that was good. And I just wanted to touch. What do you think of the fact of a player, an England player at that age, young age, playing club level in Germany or outside of England?
It's a little bit strange, I suppose, but I mean, he's getting his good share of football at Dortmund. It's good that they're not wasting him away, so to speak. He's getting his chances there, and I think it's paid importance because, he's been called up to the squad. Obviously, Southgate saw him, has been watching him at Dortmund, and decided to call him up. So I think a Premier League club will snap him up. I'm not sure who though at the moment.
Does he want to go to a Premier League club now?
I don't think he should now. No, I think he's better off staying in Germany, playing his football there for a bit longer, because obviously we all know the Premier League is just so much more intense and difficult compared to other leagues. No disrespect, but obviously the Premier League have got loads of teams who could potentially win the title or fight for the title. So it's a much more intense league. But yeah, I think Sancho showed great signs last night. Hopefully he just gets better and better, and I think he will do. Really,
I agree. I think it's quite a cool thing to see because we haven't really seen that so much in the last, I don't know, maybe 5-10 years, if anything, of England players, young English players going out to other countries to get a chance and play football. We usually see them more sheltered, trying to go into the lower leagues, or even in just staying in the reserves and being comfortable there, waiting for a chance. But I think Sancho is at the minute, is a real good inspiration or example of a player who's willing to make a name for himself, and he's prepared to go out to other leagues, other countries, and do that.
Yeah, I think he needs to get more of a he'll play more football in Germany for now, but I think he will come back to the Premier League, sometime soon. They came back into it, didn't they? Obviously, Kosovo came quite against the run of play. But
yeah. So if we take a look, what was it that happened? Yeah. So obviously Kosovo came back 2 goals in the second half. What did you take of that, Josh?
I think I think Kosovo surprised England a little bit, but it made it such a good game from the neutral's point of view.
Yeah,
which I was glad about, because I was thinking we were running away with it, and it was kind of from a neutral point of view. I know people can argue with it, but it's just boring, really. I mean, I think Kosovo made it a good game to watch. I think their goals were good as well. They scored some good goals. The penalty was a little bit soft.
Maguire.
Well, both penalties actually. Theirs and our one.
Yeah.
Both awards were quite soft in my opinion, but I'm quite glad from a neutral point of view that it was 5-3.
What do you take on the centre back's point of view? Because obviously we've got players like Maguire who's moved to Man United, hasn't been playing too well. He's come to England this game, conceded 3 goals. He's meant to be a senior centre back. We've got players like Keane coming in. I think he made a good assist early on to Sterling, but defensively, a bit shaky at times.
Maybe maybe the move sort of got to his head a little bit. I don't know, because I think he still is showing that he's a quality defender, and he earns his place in both the United squad and the England squad, but not as much promise anymore, really.
Maguire or Keane?
Maguire, really. I think he's, in my opinion, still giving him a bit more time, but he's sort of hit a wall, in a sense, because whereas when he was at Hull and Leicester, I feel that there was a whole new level that he could get into, and now obviously United have sort of pounced on this obviously £80 million transfer. He's at United. He's regarded as one of the best defenders in the league, and he's going to find it difficult to go on to that next level, to go even further. I think obviously people say when you go to a great team, you only get better and better, but it doesn't really work out for everyone.
So is Man United holding him back?
I think it was too soon. I think that the money was way too much, and it could have an effect on his football. Maybe gradually, not right now, but maybe gradually it could have an effect, because people will expect him to be, a really solid. Will expect great things of him, and Manchester United's in defence in a whole isn't that great. I mean, we saw obviously with their recent results, so they can't be that much relied on at the back. So Maguire's got a big task on his hands.
Yeah. So what do you take of Kane finally missing a penalty?
Well, you may remember when we watched the Arsenal-Tottenham game, and I was thinking, I just wonder I wonder if he's going to miss this. But he ended up scoring that one on that day. But like Kane's penalties, they're really well struck. I mean, he has like usually goes for the same corner, doesn't he? But you know, they're really well struck. But yeah, I think it's just as likely for keepers to save them. So you know, last night it proved me right. Really, I did think he was going to miss it. I did have a feeling before he stepped up.
Well, I mean, all good penalty takers do eventually miss. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes you gotta switch up. I know sometimes he goes to the other side, but I guess it's better to miss a penalty now than in the actual Euros or in more important games, really. But I just wonder how this might do for his confidence.
Yeah, I didn't think it would affect his confidence too much. I still think he played a good game, but I know what you mean. For a lot of strikers, it can affect their confidence heavily. I think Harry Kane may be too big of a character to let that affect him too much. I mean, I looked last night. I was quite curious to see how old he was because Harry Kane's been around for quite a long time now, and he's 26 now. I think he's at that age where he's a real prime member of the England squad. He's a leader. He's a big character. I think maybe he's in a good mental state where he can't really let those things get to him. We'd like to hope so because obviously England kind of rely on him sometimes.
Speaking about players missing penalties, Griezmann's missed a penalty. I think he's missed 2 now in international games. Don't think he's meant to be the main taker. I think it might be Giroud or someone else, but he's taken the last 2, and he's missed them both. So should he now not take penalties for France anymore? Should it be given to someone else?
I think this kind of leads on to suggest, you know, whether all players, if they miss a few penalties, should it be changed over in a team? And my answer is yes. I think that after you've missed a few penalties, it should be changed around because maybe, you know, as you mentioned earlier, the player loses confidence, and then the team loses confidence in the player. So yeah, I think it's best for the team that they switch around. Regarding Griezmann, he's a great striker, and I think that's probably why he's been able to take penalties in both, you know, Atletico Madrid and France. Obviously at Barcelona now. Barcelona, they may have another penalty taker. I'm not too sure, especially when Messi's on the field. But yeah, like Griezmann's not been convincing for me from the spot before. So yeah, they should change it around now, I think.
Yeah, that's good. What did you take of Ben Yedder getting on the score sheet at the end?
Yeah, I think he's a good striker. I'm quite glad that he got on the score sheet, Ben Yedder, because I always thought he was an amazing player for Sevilla. Yeah. I remember when they played against United in the Champions League, I think last season or the season before, and he scored 2 goals against them. It was fantastic. Brilliant striker. Is
he a player, you think, that can break into this France team properly?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm not sure. I'm not completely sure, but I think he's sort of late 20s now, isn't he?
He's pretty good at poaching. I think he always grabs goals, doesn't he?
I think that's very important. Like if you're just in the right place at the right time, that can be the difference sometimes.
That's what it was last night. So I would like to see him more, really. I mean, I've always thought he was a decent player, but it's kind of hard to get into this France attack, especially got players like Lacazette who aren't even breaking into the international team.
Yeah, there's great competition there, but you know, Ben Yedder could do it. I think he could do it. France, routine victory for them. Elsewhere, we saw big wins for Portugal.
Ronaldo, 4 goals.
Yeah. Not too surprised about that. Even at his age, you know, you can't really doubt his ability, can you?
Well, no, not really, but if you watched, you saw him and Bernardo Silva, both players. I think are going to be a big feature for Portugal with games to come. Obviously, it was been more just Ronaldo sort of carrying the front line in some ways, but We've got Bernardo Silva now, so who's obviously playing out of his skin, really. I think for Manchester City, and I think he provided two good assists there for Ronaldo.
Yeah.
That game. I just think they're going to be a great force up front.
Yeah, quality player. He's a quality player. I think we should get into the... Okay, continuing that recap, we're just going to talk about some of the other games that went on last night. So we had, obviously, Belgium beating Scotland.
4-0.
Yeah, that was quite a routine victory, really, for Belgium.
Yeah.
They are clearly the stronger team, aren't they? And they showed it. De Bruyne in particular.
3 assists, 1
was
goal.
Incredible. Yeah.
I think he just showed us how good he can be when he's fully fit. Fully fit, Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
I think not only was his vision really good, it was the way he executed a lot of his passes. Some of the crosses he made, just pinpoint accurate. Yeah. And I remember, not too long ago when he did that, he did a really good cross in for Sterling when he was playing for City, and he's just continuing to do that, and he's a real threat up there.
No, he is. De Bruyne has always been class, and he's showing that. Lukaku finished his chance well that De Bruyne sort of laid off for him. And Vermaelen scored as well, didn't he?
That was a surprise.
Vermaelen, he got a goal.
Well, it seems like he's been playing for an eternity, really.
It does, and it kind of surprised me that he was actually in the squad in the first place, because he's been out of favour, really, at Barcelona, hasn't he, for a number of years now. Yeah. And it's surprising that he's still there. But he was put in the squad, scored his goal.
Might give the manager something to think about.
Yeah, maybe.
Clean sheet, I know it's Scotland, but clean sheet.
Because obviously Belgium with Vertonghen and Alderweireld as well, who also got a goal, didn't he?
Yeah.
He also scored.
Those two are it's kind of hard. How can you really break in past those sort of defenders?
Yeah. I mean, Tottenham are using Sanchez quite a lot at the moment. Instead of Vertonghen, a lot of fans obviously have had a bit of a say about that, because Vertonghen's still got a lot to give, and him and Alderweireld, their partnership is one of the best in the league, isn't it, really?
I think so. I think the only issue there would be are they happy to stay at Tottenham, and that might be why they weren't starting. But what did you make of Scotland's performance, really?
Pretty woeful, really. I mean, I wasn't expecting too much from Scotland. I think this game just showed Belgium more, really, and showed how much they progressed. And obviously at the World Cup we saw them reach the semi-final.
Yeah. And
they got third place as well, didn't they? Obviously beat us in the third place playoff. But Belgium have come so far, and they needed to, really, because with all the players they've got such a great squad now. And even at the Euros, I remember they did very, very well.
Yeah.
So they're proving, they're exceeding expectations, in my opinion, because no one expected them to reach the semi-finals of the World Cup.
No. Well, when you hear Belgium, it's just not a big name country.
It's not.
Like when you think of big name countries, you think of your France, Germany, Spain, Brazil.
Yeah.
Your Argentina, even like Italy's and stuff, but when you think of Belgium, you just think of they're like even a couple of tiers below, really. But they're not now. They're not, and they haven't been for a while. It's just trying to establish themselves.
They carry on surprising, really, in a way, because, as you say, Belgium doesn't really strike a lot of fear into people still. Everyone's worried about the Frances and the Germanys, but Belgium, they've got an amazing squad. Obviously Hazard wasn't playing in that game.
Yeah, I think
that's another reason to fear Belgium. Hazard, De Bruyne, Lukaku on his day.
Yeah, and I feel like Lukaku can. I mean, I've always thought he was good for Belgium, but I think now with the fact that he's moved on from United, playing for Inter now, he's going to have more confidence, more chances, I feel.
He's made a great start at Inter Milan as well, hasn't he?
He has.
Great start.
And I feel like that's going to help him. And that's going to help Belgium. When you've got players like Kevin De Bruyne sitting behind you, I think you can only score goals.
Yeah, you got a midfield maestro back there. You know, he can create goals for anyone, as you say. That's probably why Aguero is still. That's one of the reasons maybe why he's still firing in like he was, 21.
Yeah,
because he still can't stop scoring. De Bruyne creates a lot for that team, and in particular Aguero and Jesus. So, moving on.
on to Spain, 4-0, Faroe Islands.
Yeah, routine victory. Rodrigo, their striker, getting the... I think it was the first 2 goals. Routine victory for them. I think they weren't really challenged that much by the Faroe Islands. But yeah, nonetheless, good victory for Spain. Good result.
It was just routine, really. No disregard to Faroe Islands, but Spain national team is one of the top teams.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it is, like you say, a routine victory.
Yeah.
Spain did play the ball quite well. I liked watching them comfortably passing the ball around.
Yeah.
Creating good chances.
They did. Yeah, they played some good stuff. And Italy as well, struggling. They struggled past Finland, but it did surprise me they struggled a little bit. But I suppose Italy aren't the team they used to be, are they?
Well, did they? They didn't make it in the last World Cup, did they?
No.
So that was,
big hit to them.
It is a big hit to them. Obviously, Finland with Norwich superstar Timu Pukki.
Yeah.
Leading the line. He scored from the spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, Italy won 2-1. But there was an incident when it was 1-1. Italy got a penalty. There was a handball. I don't know if you remember that exact incident, Josh, where the ball was struck. I think it was just inside the box when it was struck. The defender, not too far away from the player who struck the ball. He's moved in to defend himself, putting his arm across his body like that, and it's hit him on his elbow here. Obviously, if his arm wasn't there, it looked like the ball would have gone through. But what do you make of that penalty?
That particular one, I don't think it was, because your arms are up to protect yourself. I mean, it reminded me, when I saw that incident, it reminded me of the penalty for Manchester United against PSG last season. And in that instance, the defender was jumping, he had his hand in a similar position, hit his arm. I mean, you're doing it to protect yourself. If it hits your hand, which is above your head, if you're sort of extending your arm, then fair enough. But like, if it hits your arm there, and you're just using it to defend your chest, so I don't think it was a bit harsh, really.
I say it was harsh, but it wasn't as clear cut as protecting his body, because whilst he is doing that, but if you remove the arm, the ball would have come through. Because the way his body was, his body was in this position, his arm was just a bit more out. So it wasn't so much that he was blocking it this way, the ball was coming in from the side. But I still think it's really, really harsh. Where is he supposed to put his arm in that situation? He has done that in order to try and protect himself. It just so happens his arms come across his body in trying to do so.
Yeah. I mean, I remember a video that you showed recently about, like, Robbie Savage and a couple of other people talking about the handball rule, and like in some incidents what would be a penalty and what's not, and they did say that PSG one, nowadays it would be a penalty. But if that's the case, then I disagree with the law then, because I don't think that's a penalty. I think when you're using your arms in any way to protect your body, whether it be like sort of like down there, or up here, well, not like that, but like with your arm like that or something, then it's not a penalty. But if it hits your hand when it's sort of extended out in an unnatural position, then it is. So yeah, that particular one was harsh though, I think.
What would you say to some people who might suggest that, look, if the arm wasn't there the ball would be going potentially into the goal, because the body's not covering, the arm is just slightly out, and if the arm wasn't in that position, the ball would have come across and it could have potentially gone in. So is that a goal scoring chance being denied by an arm?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
So is that not a penalty?
I thought his hand was sort of like in
It
front
was.
of
It
his,
was like
like
this, but if the arm, it was right next to his body. But if the arm was removed, it would have come across his body like that. The way he turned his body like this, it's hit him here. And so his body.
Yeah, I think.
It's not. His arm isn't out like this to try and protect him. It's right next to his body.
In terms like that, I think it has to be clear cut. If it's not clear cut, if it's not sort of like, if it's not clear that the ball would still have gone in, if it's like using an instance,
It's on target.
Yeah, if it's not clear to officials that it would have gone in, then that might be why they're thinking not handball. But I think, in my opinion, if it's in front of the goal, then yeah, it should be a penalty. But if it's like not clear cut, it's difficult. But
in these decisions that aren't clear cut, because we've seen quite a lot of them now, haven't we? And it's only been a couple of weeks into this season. I haven't heard anyone suggest in these really tough decisions, maybe just a ref just saying, look, we're gonna give it as an indirect free kick. Is that a bad idea? Is that a good idea? I thought that might help some situations.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, in those situations where, look, the arm is in the way, it's next to his body. He is trying to cover his body, but it's still blocking the shot. And if the arm wasn't there, it's potentially on target. In those positions, those situations, it's like, okay, so it's not going to be not a penalty. So the ref either calls a penalty or says it's not a penalty. But in some of those, it might be that he's still not sure. Okay, he knows it's hit his arm, but he's not sure if the ball's going in and if it's denied a potential goal scoring opportunity. And if that's the case, it's like, right, you could say, look, well, you'll get an indirect free kick, so you still have possession of the ball, okay, but it's not going to be a clear-cut chance of a penalty.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think they should have more indirect free kicks in the league at the moment. Referees should award more of them. But in terms of the decisions, some of them, in my view, have been wrong. It's been very controversial. Going back to that City-Tottenham game, there's a big debate about that. I don't think that should have been disallowed. But it's divided opinion. I think it is going to be divided opinion for the majority of this season. So, I think VAR, people are going to love it or hate it, and throughout the season, I think there's going to be more complaints about it. I can't really see things getting resolved like that. And at the end of the day, it might just come down to the fact, like the majority say, I'll bring it back to the days before when, it was sort of like a call there and then, because at least in that way, you don't have people like I don't know, you don't have as many people arguing about it in a sense, because I think VAR actually brings out more arguments. So it might need to go back to how it was. I'm very divided on it.
That is controversial opinion right there.
What, to bring it back?
To say no VAR.
Yeah, but the thing is, as you say, we're early into the season. It's caused so many problems and uproars already. And
could it just be because it's new?
It could be. It could be because it's new. But I don't think that it will be I don't think the talks will quieten down soon. I think it will be a big problem for the majority of the season. I could be wrong, but that's just how I think it will pan out.
Yeah, honestly, I think that too. I do think that too, but I feel I don't see it happening. I don't see them getting rid of VAR, scrapping it. I feel like
No.
that what will happen if they did that right now, then it's just going to cause uproar, because then when the next decisions happen, big things happen, and if decisions aren't going their way, you can almost guarantee people are going to be like, why did you take away VAR?
Well, not now, but like at the end of the season.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. End of season.
It wouldn't happen now if it was
No,
to happen.
it wouldn't happen now.
No.
But
Also, on top of that, it divides the other leagues. I mean, I know the lower leagues and stuff. It's kind of like a lot of people have said to me recently that they want to go and watch a League One game, League Two game, because it's real football. It's football without all the stoppages and the VAR and the fans and anticipation waiting to celebrate. And in a way, I admire that, and I do appreciate how people kind of miss that sometimes.
Do you think? Yeah, I think I agree, because in some ways the VAR can ruin the entertainment aspect of the chance of something happening. And we all don't like it if it happens against us. If these sort of, if it's slightly offside, if it happens against us. We don't like it if a big penalty was called against us and it wasn't a penalty. But I feel like most of us will agree that it adds to the entertainment factor, and that's probably why this sport is as entertaining as it is. It's just that added bonus of there's a chance of, hey, we don't really know what's going to happen, because it's not all down to exact skill. It's just something so small can make a difference in some ways. So it can, when you say League One and League Two, it is those entertainment factors, and also obviously VAR, it slows the game down. Like I remember you mentioning before in another conversation, it slows the game down.
Yeah.
People just want to watch it happen now.
Yeah. It does.
I don't think people like the idea of, or players might not like the idea of scoring a goal, celebrating, and then just waiting there for a minute or two just to find out it's not a goal.
Yeah, I think if it happens with every single decision, it will literally ruin the game. I mean, at the moment, it's not happening with every single decision. You see a lot of things in the Premier League still now where VAR isn't even considered. The ref's like, no, I'm not going to look at VAR for that. I've made my mind up. Game goes on. So I'm glad that there are still a lot of moments like that. And if VAR takes over and it's literally like every single foul, offside, penalty shout is looked at by VAR, it will literally ruin the game.
Do you think VAR puts more pressure on the ref than you actually thought it might have done, because of how?
Yeah, I do. Because you see something happen now, and it's like everyone turns to the ref.
It's meant to help the ref. It was meant to.
Yeah, it's meant to help the ref. I mean, I suppose with the VAR decision, players can't necessarily argue with the outcome. They will do, but it's kind of like, that's, you look at the screen and that's proper evidence about whether a decision is right or wrong. But it does cause more pressure on the referee. Yeah.
I think real quick we need to jump to the Germany versus Northern Ireland game. Germany won 2-0. I think before the game started, I think this game was in Belfast, but I think we all assumed Germany was going to run riot. But Northern Ireland, they impressed me. They had a lot of chances. They created it. They were, in my opinion, quite fearless. They just didn't put them away.
No. Northern Ireland, they've got a lot of passion, a lot of drive in that team. But yeah, Germany, despite their recent disappointments and stuff, going out early. Was it in the World Cup? They went out quite early.
Yes.
And they've had a few disappointments recently, but at the end of the day, they're still a quality team. So I think it was a case of Northern Ireland starting, brilliantly, showing a lot of spirit going forward. But Germany, with that experience, sort of, weighing the game down and taking their chances.
I think I can't remember his name, but it was I'm sure it was the German fullback, left back. I can't remember his name, but he scored quite a good goal early on, and I think towards the end it was Gnabry. Scored at the end. I don't know if you saw Gnabry or Gnabry
I didn't see the highlights from that game, no, but you know, it didn't surprise me the result. Serge Gnabry, that's good that he got his goal. I mean, where is he now? Is he still in Germany?
I think he's still at Munich.
Yeah. Well, he's in a good team. You know, he's probably getting a lot of football there.
He is. I feel he's just growing and growing and growing at the minute. He is just such a player to watch. I just see him constantly whenever I watch the Bundesliga. He's just grabbing goals. And
I mean, that's good for them, isn't it? Really, considering they obviously lost Robben and Ribéry. Last season, end of their careers, and you know, Serge Gnabry to sort of replace them. He must be sort of late 20s now, is he? Sort of in his prime, or is he still quite young?
I'm not too sure about his age at the minute.
But yeah, he's a good player. There's no debating that.
No.
But yeah, it was a sort of an expected win, I think, from Germany.
It was.
Yeah. There were no major shocks, really.
No, there's not. I mean, you kind of want. We kind of want to see big games, really, with the big teams playing against each other. But
yeah.
And you kind of want one of these more lesser tier teams to actually do something in the game and actually maybe. I mean, obviously Kosovo, they made it more entertaining, 5-3, but I don't think at any point really did we. Well, there was maybe a small chance around the start of the second half after they scored 2 goals. You thought, whoa, they could come back, and maybe in the Italy game against Finland there was that, but generally speaking, it was just quite a simple task for all the teams.
Yeah,
all the big teams.
Yeah, I think it was routine. I mean, something I want to sort of talk about. We'll probably talk about it more in the next video. But you know, like you say, you want to see big teams playing against each other. I'd love to see that on a regular basis, but we're not really getting that with these international breaks. And yeah, as I say, we will go into that in another video.
Yeah.
But that sort of caps off the international action. It's been over the weekend. Premier League coming back. We'll do our predictions soon, which you'll see on the channel as well. Please subscribe and see you guys soon.